Professor Kfuri. Great to see you on this episode of Vaartaalaap. How are you doing?
All is here. Good to see you after such a long time, Aman. Thanks for having me here.
Yes. So, for my viewers, let me give a brief about Professor Kfuri. He's a very renowned and esteemed professor teaching at universities in Asia, Europe, as well as Latin and North America. Uh, he's a strategy consultant, trainer as well, and experience of more than 20 plus years, I believe now. Please free to add, sir, if you have anything more.
All is good. I think 20 plus, it's good enough already.
Great. So, hitting straight to this question that I had in mind, especially with regard to digital and marketing, sir. You've seen the evolution of how things are panning out in the global world. There is a lot of clamor for digital. How is it impacting marketing and how it is changing the traditional modes of marketing?
Um, I think digital it's transforming not just marketing practices, but in general, it's changing companies and it's changing the society.
Yes.
So I think we need to understand the impact of digital in a wider perspective, and then we can crack it down to the specifics of marketing. But we truly need to take a look at the big picture because, as you know, Aman, we're in an incredible transformational time in terms of how technology is evolving and how rapidly technology is evolving. And of course, marketing cannot escape to this craziness around speed of change and how to get adapted and how to understand better consumers and before and use new tools. But it's truly important to understand that we are in the middle of a big societal transformation. And technology now, it's not just changing marketing practices and organizations, it's changing even human beings. As you know, there is technology out there like CRISPR that allows gene editing. So we are basically changing organisms. Any living organism can be genetically edited, including human beings. You can buy at Amazon for $200 a CRISPR editing, genes editing tool. It's crazy. So everything is changing. Society is changing. We don't know exactly where we're going to end up being as a society. We're learning as we go, and marketing it's exactly in the middle of that process. So definitely our practices are changing. We do marketing in different ways as we did it in the past, but the fundamental concepts and principles remain pretty much the same.
But how do you see something like District that came from you? How does something like that hold relevance in this digital world? Do you need to tweak it in the digital ecosystem?
Listen, we got a couple of things going on out there that are definitely changed marketing as we know it, and at least some of the marketing practices will be definitely transformed. If you think on the advertising industry itself, it can be put upside down very, very soon. And the reason is, again, technology. Why advertising started? I mean, we have to make a bit of history, go back in time. We got the Industrial Revolution with an almost unlimited capability for companies to produce products. Of course, the limited it's in the environment, right? And we're learning that the hard way. But we got almost an unlimited capability to produce things, and then we needed also to increase demand. So basic economics rules, supply and demand should match. We can increase supply since 200 plus years. Now we needed to increase demand, and that's how advertising as an industry started. Now, what's the logic behind advertising? You are assuming that a certain profile of people, given their life stages and lifestyles and desires and wishes and all these variables that we put together, might be interested in buying a certain product and service, and that's why you talk to them. You try to start a conversation with them. Now, you're assuming a lot of things at the beginning. That was advertising 1.0. Then we got internet and we started tracking people's behavior. So you didn't need to ask people a lot of things. You could already track their behavior online. And thanks to Google and these type of tools, you could know exactly, well, the topics that are in these people's mind. What's interesting for you today? I mean, if you're Googling a certain medicine, probably you got a certain type of disease, and then the advertising industry utilizes these data to target you with a certain product that can be of help for that particular moment. But that's also gonna soon disappear. And that's linked to the fact that we got today, or we're starting to have today, our digital personal assistants. You call it Alexa, you call it the way you want, but we have in our own lives 24/7 some kind of system that it's listening to you, that knows you even more than your intimate people around you. There are a couple of studies on Facebook, for example, how many clicks Facebook, the algorithm needs to actually get to know you better than your own spouse. And that's crazy, but that's the way things are developing now. So back to advertising. Why should I, as a company, invest on an advertising agency to try to send a message to you, trying to convince you to buy my product or service, if you as a user, you can just ask your personal digital assistant like Alexa, tell me, what's the next car I should buy? Because Alexa knows who you are, knows even your emotions, knows how many kids you got in the house, knows if you like going for holidays to, you know, adventurous places or not, knows what you do over the weekend. Alexa knows everything. So Alexa is the best system that can recommend you which product or service to buy. And Alexa knows not just you, knows millions of people with the same profile. So the system knows you better than anyone else. So advertising as we know it might soon disappear. So yeah, digital is transforming the way we do marketing, our marketing practices. But again, the fundamentals remain the same. We need to understand what consumers want. We need to anticipate what they may want, and we need to act accordingly.
So you mentioned a few times knowing the consumer, and there are a lot of initiatives which are happening in this area. Is it more company driven? Is it more push marketing, wherein I want to understand the consumer so that I push in my product or services? Or is it something which is pull as well, because the consumer wants new products and services to be pushed to them? How do you see that jazz between these things?
I think there is an interaction there. There are two sides of the same coin, as you're mentioning. It's two sides. Of course, companies are driven by the need to understand better their consumers, to be able to compete with the others offering the same type of product and services, but in a better way, so I can conquer your minds and hearts and pockets. Don't forget that, because we tend to talk in a very romantic way about these things, but we're, at the end of the day, we're just competing for people's money. I mean, loyalty, which brings money. But on the other hand, as you mentioned, it's also a bit of consumer-driven process there, because consumers are getting more sophisticated than ever before. People know what they want, or they think they know what they want, and they do their own search, they compare, they have access to information, more information than ever before, so they can compare, match more product and services before making a decision. They might be biased or not, they might be sometimes even manipulated a little bit or brainwashed, or call it the way you want, but they go out there searching for information in a way that they didn't do it in the past. So I think it's in both parties' interest to do a good job in terms of putting the customer in the center. And it's also important to stress one thing there, the fact that when we talk about customer centricity, we should not think on the marketing department. Customer centricity should be a company-wide effort coming from the top. It's a strategy level initiative more than a marketing one. Of course, marketing as a department will have to give me the information about the consumer, do the research, talk to the agency, so on and so forth. But I cannot be customer driven if the other departments of the organization are not aligned to serve the customer. I may have the best campaign ever, I design the best product, and then my supply chain is so slow that I'm never hitting the market on time. Then customer satisfaction is going to get reduced, and I'm not going to, achieve my goals. So it's a company-wide effort driven by the top of the organization and enabled by the marketing department.
Okay. So you mentioned the customer centricity piece, and I saw some examples of digital transformation, especially at Adidas, where they talk about consumer centricity, but they are also looking at transforming their workforce from a product centric perspective. How does that clash, and how do those things converge actually?
It's that's the main challenge that we have. I mean, at the end of the day, we're still managing companies through people, unless we're talking
Mm-hmm.
about some trading companies that are doing
Mm-hmm.
just algorithms out there, you know, buying and selling stock.
Right.
But the majority of the companies out there are still managed and driven by people, and you execute through people.
Mm-hmm.
So the cultural aspect of customer centricity, it's essential because we can design everything on the paper perfectly, but at the end of the day, we execute through people. Our customers interact with some systems, but at the end of the day, there is also interaction with people. So
Right.
if people are not culturally sensitive to putting the customer's needs on top of the agenda of their
Mm-hmm.
activities, if they don't understand that, well, then it's going to be hard to build a customer-centric culture and to truly deliver that exceptional experience, the customer experience for your clients. It's a main
Mm-hmm.
challenge.
Okay. So you mentioned new technologies and the way people are interacting. Alexa is there, CRISPR is there is AR, VR. Is there one technology which is really making a change in the marketing world, in the strategy world, which is aligning with people's expectation as well? Where do you pinpoint a single technology?
I think digital in general. I wouldn't
Okay.
like to. I wouldn't like to be very specific on one particular aspect of it because it's
Okay.
truly the entire ecosystem that it's being transformed, as we've been talking at the very beginning of this conversation.
Right.
It's the entire society that it's been changing. It's us as human beings. It's us as consumers. We're changing our consumption patterns. You got different profile of consumers. I'm different generation from your generation, but you're already different from centennials and the digital natives and these newcomers.
Yeah.
They're fully different from the way we are in terms of their interaction with technology, but it's all based on digital. We're moving into a world where algorithms are going to start making decisions, or they are already making decisions
Mhm.
for us, and that's going to be the most radical change in the way we do marketing because uh, again I like always understanding the past to try to project the future. I think
Mhm.
it's the best way to um, uh, not to project because things change dramatically at the moment, but you need
Mhm.
to understand where we're coming from. And as human beings, hundreds or thousands of years ago, we tend to give authority to deities. Gods were the ones that could
Mhm.
explain the phenomenon out there. So we
Mhm.
couldn't explain it by ourselves, so it was gods. Then with the scientific revolution, we started understanding that there were some laws in nature that could explain why lighting or storms or whatever, gravity and whatever other type of laws that we started discovering. And then we gave authority for decision-making processes to us humans. Now we understand, so we make our decisions. That seems to be changing going into logarithms now
Mhm.
because they can know us better than we know ourselves.
Right.
And that's going to be the major transformation in terms of how we do marketing because we're going to be interacting with systems. And
Yeah.
systems are going to be anticipating the things that we want and are going
Mhm.
to start offering things before even we realize that we're going to be in the need for buying those things.
Right.
For example, that Amazon has patented a technology called anticipatory shipping. And
Okay.
what they do basically is that based on your profile, which is similar to the profile of millions of other consumers or Amazon clients out there that have been buying things in a certain way, they know that if you've been buying the same product and services and you match this type of profile, well, if other people with a certain high probability moving to a certain product after certain purchases, well, they can somehow anticipate that you're going to be in the need in the future to buy the same type of product or service than the other people matching your profile. So they basically start certain steps of the shipping process before you have even realized that you're going to be ordering those things.
Yeah.
So it's not just one technology that it's transforming us, it's technology overall. It's digital, it's algorithms, it's the entire system, the machinery. It's like the movie The Matrix, kind of.
Yeah. True.
We're starting to be living in a kind of a matrix-like world, and that's what it's gonna make us change dramatically the way we do marketing, the way we approach our consumers.
If you had to choose one brand or one company which is applying digital globally pretty well, which one will you pick?
It's a hard question. I was somehow thinking about that some days ago, and I think you can identify a couple of champions in different type of industries.
Right.
An overall winner, I don't know. It depends on the industry. You might be an
Yeah.
exceptional player in one industry, and you're pretty average in other industries. But in your industry, it's good enough to be the leader.
Yeah.
There are a couple of examples I'd like to mention. One, it's probably the usual suspect, a company that's been around for more than a century, selling a product that it's a pretty basic product, but fully ingrained in people's lifestyles, and that's Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
And if you go and check on YouTube, there are a couple of videos I can share with you and your audience, the links to it.
So,
You can see how Coca-Cola has been embracing a digital transformation process that it's linked to how they are changing the way they have this dialogue with the consumer. And it's a pretty nice set of videos explaining how they're transforming their entire approach to establishing this conversation, omni-channel, different technologies, with all these different profile of consumers. That could be one. The other one that I got a chance to interact more closely for the last couple of years has been in the soccer or football, as we call it, industry. That's Juventus, the brand,
okay.
the football club.
Yeah.
And they've been embracing a truly interesting rebranding process that includes digital, of course, but goes beyond just digital as a tool. It's the entire approach towards their consumers. It's a change in the meaning of the brand from a soccer club to not just soccer, but also lifestyle, to not just Italian soccer fans, but worldwide consumers of my brand. And they've been doing a great job. And what you can see, it's the peak of the iceberg, which is the change in their logo, if you observe that. But it's simply a detail on a complete transformation the company has embraced. And there are also pretty interesting videos on how they've been walking through that process. I can as well share with you, so you can also post that for your audience.
Sure. I do remember seeing something from you on your Facebook profile about Juventus, maybe few months back. So I do remember that. So coming to the academic side of it, since you have been teaching marketing for very long and you've been teaching about strategy consulting too, where is the shift in terms of education happening? So the old way of teaching with Philip Kotler's 4 Ps, with simulations, will that be the standard practice going forward, or how will you tweak when you teach marketing going forward?
Your question, it's a pretty interesting one, and actually relates to the way we're educating people overall.
Yeah.
Because what I'm going to tell you could apply to my marketing courses, but it could apply to the way we teach kids in the school as well.
Yeah.
And given the fact that things are changing so rapidly, if I put you in a marketing course in an MBA or executive MBA program, and I just concentrate on the basic tools that we got today, it's pretty likely that after a few months, if not a few years, what I was telling you in terms of the techniques and tools and practices, it's going to be fundamentally changed.
Yeah.
So what I think we should definitely try to teach is, of course, the state-of-the-art practices that's there for sure. We need to cover that. But more importantly, we need to help people understand how they can approach the consumer from a point of view that it will help them always and ever understand the consumer.
Yeah.
And that's why we have to go a bit back in time and understand the anthropology behind human beings, how societies are being constructed and built, which are the fundamental values. For example, symbols have been there in every type of society for millennia, since every type of civilization that we can trace back got some symbols they used to identify with. Well, modern consumers also use symbols, different type of symbols,
Yeah.
but the logic is the same as we got in the ancient Greek or Egyptian or you name it, cultures back in time. So a bit of anthropology, a bit of sociology and psychology to truly understand how to connect with our consumers, to understand how people think, how people react to things, what they really want, which are their desires. Maybe the fundamental, ultimate desire of everyone out there is to be happy.
Yeah.
Now, why branding works then? Well, because we sell you the promise of being happier than what you are today through our product and services. So we need to understand these fundamental concepts. And of course, then we apply the state-of-the-art tools and practices and technology to enable those concepts to come into a reality. But we need to go deeper into the essence of the consumer as a person, as a human being, and we need to make sure that people, our students in these courses, understand these aspects before we jump directly into the technology or the tools. If we just stay on the technology and tools, that's going to be gone in a few years, and then you end up empty-handed.
So one last question would be, I've already touched upon it, one company or one brand. Do you think something like Amazon, if we talk about high-tech industry, will they lead the battle and win overall out? Because the way they have already got a lot of depth in terms of understanding the consumers on their platform. So something like Amazon will win the battle in digital hands down in their own industry.
I don't have a crystal ball, so it's truly hard to answer that question. We got the companies that have been out there for many, many years doing a wonderful job, today struggling. There are complete industries, traditional industries that are being shaken up by technology and digital. I work a lot with the banking sector as well, and we have many, many struggles with the traditional banking system to actually get into the digital world and how to face the challenges of the fintech world. We don't know. I mean, we truly don't know. It's hard to tell you which company is going to be the winner in this race, but one thing is for sure. The company that can master the access to data and information and the analysis of that information better than the others, and of course the right product and services from that analysis, these are the ones that are going to win the race. But we're all learning as we go. We've been talking for years already about big data and data lakes, and we from big to lake to huge to we don't have words anymore to describe the massive amount of data that we got available. But the thing, it's not the data that we got available, is what we do with it, how we put data together to draw conclusions. Well, the companies that can do that better than the others are definitely the ones that are going to win the race. If it's going to be Amazon or Google or well, who knows? But they are in a very good position given the data that they can access more than other companies out there, for sure.
Great. It's been a pleasure getting your perspective, Professor Kfuri, and very interesting and enriching. I'm sure our viewers will surely like what you had to offer. And I'm positive in future I can get back to you for more conversations on other topics as well. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks for your time. I wish you a great day.
Anytime. Always a pleasure talking to you. Thanks for having me today here.
Thank you, Professor Kfuri.
Thank you. Bye.